So I've had athletes ask me this, like, Coach, what are some things I can do to improve my speed, improve my times, things like that? And everybody's not able to. One, they don't have time to go to a speed coach or a sports performance coach. Two, you may not be able to afford it, and that's fine on both those fronts. But if I was to improve anything, I would say your first step or your first 10 yards for sure to help you with improving your speed. Those things are going to set up the rest of your race. If you run a 40-yard dash, I've seen times drop a tenth to 2/10 of a second just by what was happening on the first step or the first 10 yards. If you're running a 60 yard or a 200 meter, 100 meter, things like that, those are things I've seen to make the biggest improvement. Because there's a few things that we want to do. We want to race against time. You're racing against time, one, but two, you want to be able to beat split time. So when you look at split times, those are just things that we look at from a coach's standpoint. That either one going to tell us miles per hour, two tell us exactly, like, you know, layman's terms, your time, like how long it took you to get from point A to point B, point B to point C. When you look at those things, it's almost like when you see NASCAR drivers racing and they're doing those time trials. It's the same thing. How long is it taking you to get from one checkpoint to the next checkpoint? And so you have to think about what's going to help me with setting those things up. Now, you do have to battle different things to go a little deeper into that question, such as fatigue level, speed strength, speed endurance, those things. But for the most part, if you improve that first step or those first 10 yards, then you're going to improve your setup for the rest of your race, and you should see improvement there. Now, when I talk about the first step, what am I really getting into the weeds about? It's, are you able to anchor your foot down and produce power through both of your feet in order to get out and jump out on your competition? Most people do not take a great first step. I'm gonna use track and field for instance. Right now, I'm working with a track kid, a couple track kids right now. But take that for instance, right? So if your first step, if you're not using blocks, and your first step, you're taking a step backwards, or your first step is not really eating up any ground going forward, then that's a wasted step. And it takes training and time in order to um, perfect that and get it a little bit better. But those are things you have to think about. So when you take the first step, so when the gun goes off, or they say, hey, it's on you, and you jump out of the blocks, you jump out of your stance, how long is it taking you? How many tenths of a second are you taking to get from 0 to 1? That's major. We're overcoming inertia, so not moving. So how much? So 0 to 1 step, or your 0 step, or your 1 step, first step, it depends on who you talk to, coach wise. That's going to tell us how much energy you can store and then express. And then from there, storing and expressing, but then getting into your rhythm. So I tell anybody, any kid, any parent, any coach, sprinting and speed is rhythmic. So if you're not able to get a good rhythm, find your rhythm, and then work within that, you're not going to be as fast as you could be. You may be decently fast, but you're not going to be as fast as you could be. Also, you run into the risk of injury just due to being out of sync, but that's another video for another day. So if I was going to work on anything, I would definitely say your first step or your first 10 yards, first 10 meters. Those are things you should always work on constantly every time you touch speed. You should always work on those things. Now, it may look different because you may change distances. You may change the way that you want to express that first step. You may change the drill, things like that to perfect that. But those are the things I definitely be looking at and definitely be working on if I want to improve my speed and I didn't have any resources. So you may be in rural America where there's no one there to teach speed. There's no one there to teach agility, things like that. And you're having to get out there, get out the mud, work on your own. Those are things I'll be working on. And so I hope this video helps somebody. If you like the content, like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, be legendary.